Here's a question that no one asks, but everyone should. Why is it that two people can work the same hours, with the same intelligence and even the same opportunities, yet one retires broke and the other builds an empire? It's not luck. It's not even talent. It's psychology, a hidden way of thinking that only the top 1% truly understand. They don't see money the way you do. They don't make decisions the way you do, and they definitely don't react to risk, failure, or opportunity the way you do. Because for them, wealth isn't a number in a bank account, it's a state of mind. And once you learn how the ultra-rich think, you'll start noticing opportunities that were invisible before, and making decisions most people are too scared to even consider. So if you've ever wondered what really goes on inside the minds of the world's richest people, stay right here, because by the end of this video, you won't just understand how the 1% think, you'll start thinking like them. Have you ever wondered why billionaires seem to notice opportunities that most people don't even see? It's not because they have more information. It's because they look at the world through a completely different lens. The average person wakes up thinking about survival, bills, rent, job security. But the 1%? They wake up thinking about expansion, growth, systems, and scale. Where most people see problems, they see puzzles. Where others see risk, they see reward. And where the majority say, "I can't afford this," they ask, "How can I afford this?" It's a subtle difference, but it changes everything. Most people operate from a scarcity mindset, the belief that resources are limited, that success is rare, and that money is something you chase. The 1% operate from abundance psychology, the belief that wealth is created, not found. That opportunity is everywhere, if you know how to look for it. Take Jeff Bezos, for example. When he launched Amazon from a small garage in the 90s, most people couldn't understand why anyone would order books online. The common mindset was, this will never work. But Bezos didn't ask, will people buy books online? He asked, what happens when the entire world starts buying everything online? While others saw risk, he saw inevitability. That's the power of the 1% lens. And this difference in thinking doesn't just apply to billionaires. It applies to anyone who wants to break out of the cycle of trading time for money. Because if you keep looking at the world as a series of limitations, you'll always act from limitation. But if you train yourself to look at the world as a series of possibilities, you'll start acting like someone who expects more, and sooner or later, you'll get it. The truth is, the biggest barrier between you and massive wealth isn't money, education, or luck. It's the invisible filter sitting inside your mind, the way you interpret the world around you. The top 1% have simply reprogrammed that filter. And once you do too, you'll start to notice that the opportunities were always there. You just weren't looking through the right lens. Here's a harsh truth. Most people don't understand money. They only use it. They trade their time for it. They spend it as soon as they get it. And then they wonder why it never seems to grow. But the 1%, they don't think of money as something to spend, and they see it as something to multiply. The average person says, I need to earn more. The 1% asks, how can I make the money I already have work for me? That tiny shift, from earning to multiplying, is the foundation of every fortune ever built. While most people focus on income, the wealthy focus on assets. Businesses, investments, intellectual property, real estate, anything that continues to make money even when they're asleep. It's not about how many hours you work. It's about how many machines you can build that work for you. Take Warren Buffett, for example. When he started investing as a teenager, he wasn't trying to get rich overnight. He was focused on one simple principle: compounding. The idea that money grows exponentially if you let time and patience do the heavy lifting. He often says, if you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you'll work until you die. And that's exactly what the 1% avoid. They don't sell their time. They build systems that print money whether they're awake or not. Another key part of the 1% money code is leverage, the ability to achieve massive results with minimal effort. An average person uses only their own time and skills. The 1% uses other people's time, other people's money, and technology to scale. Think about Elon Musk. He doesn't build rockets by himself. He builds companies that hire thousands of brilliant minds to build rockets for him. That's leverage in action. And here's the uncomfortable truth. If you're constantly chasing a bigger paycheck, you're still stuck in the same game, just playing at a slightly higher level. But if you shift your thinking from how can I earn to what can I own, you step into the game the 1% are playing. The game where time stops being a limit and starts being a multiplier. The richest people don't work harder than you. They simply use their money, their time, and their resources smarter, and they let those forces keep working long after they've stopped. Don't chase money, build machines. If your income stops the moment you stop working, you don't have wealth, you have a job. There's one skill that separates the ultra-wealthy from everyone else, and it's not intelligence, education, or luck. It's decision-making. Most people make decisions based on what's right in front of them. Today's paycheck, this month's bills, next week's schedule. But the 1%? They make decisions based on where they want to be 10, 20, even 50 years from now. They think in decades, not days. And that single shift changes the entire game. Here's the secret. The rich don't make more decisions than you. They make fewer but far more powerful ones. They focus on what investor Naval Ravikant calls high-leverage decisions, choices that require effort once, but continue producing results forever. For example, when Elon Musk sold PayPal, he could have retired and lived a life of luxury. But instead, he asked a different question. What decisions could shape the next 100 years of humanity? That question led him to build Tesla and SpaceX, companies that took over a decade to become profitable, but are now worth hundreds of billions. That's the psychology of the 1%. They're not chasing quick wins. They're planting seeds that will grow into forests. They also understand something called asymmetric risk, meaning they look for situations where the upside is massive and the downside is manageable. Most people fear risk because they see only two outcomes, success or failure. The wealthy dissect risk. They ask, what's the worst-case scenario and can I survive it? If the answer is yes, they move forward, even if everyone else is too scared to try. Think about it. Every life-changing opportunity, starting a business, investing early, building a product, looked risky before it became obvious. But the 1% don't wait for certainty. They move before the crowd realizes it's safe. They also make one more crucial shift. They stop trading effort for outcomes and start trading judgment. One smart decision can be worth more than a lifetime of hard work. And they're willing to spend weeks, months, or even years thinking deeply about one big decision, because they know the right one could change everything. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The wealthiest people you admire aren't necessarily smarter than you. They've just mastered the art of playing the long game. While everyone else is busy reacting to the present, they're designing the future, and then patiently walking toward it. What decision today will still matter 10 years from now? What risk has massive upside and limited downside? What seed can I plant that will grow without me? Because in the world of the 1%, wealth isn't built through effort. It's built through strategic decisions that compound quietly in the background. Here's one of the biggest myths about success. People think the richest individuals in the world are lone geniuses, isolated masterminds who built everything by themselves. But that's a lie. The truth is, the 1% don't build empires alone. They build systems of people. They know something most people never learn. Your network is your net worth. The average person tries to do everything on their own. They guard ideas. They fear sharing. They avoid asking for help. But the wealthy, they multiply their power through people. They seek out mentors who've already done what they're trying to do. They partner with people smarter than them in areas they're weak. They build teams, alliances, and ecosystems that allow them to move faster and dream bigger. Think of Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak. Alone, Wozniak was a brilliant engineer. Alone, Jobs was a visionary marketer. But together they built Apple, one of the most valuable companies in the world. That's not competition, that's collaboration. And the 1% are obsessed with it. But there's another side to this multiplier mindset, how they think about failure. Most people fear failure like it's the end of the road. The 1% treat it as feedback. They don't ask what went wrong, they ask, what did this teach me? To them, every mistake is data. Every setback is a signal pointing them closer to the right path. Take Richard Branson. Before building the Virgin Empire, he launched dozens of projects that failed miserably. But instead of quitting, he analyzed every failure, adjusted, and tried again. He once said, "You don't learn to walk by following rules. You learn by doing and falling over." That mindset, to experiment, fail, adapt, and repeat, is how billion-dollar ideas are born. And here's something else the 1% understand. The fastest way to grow is to be around people who are already where you want to be. Because environment shapes behavior. If you're surrounded by people who complain, you'll start complaining. But if you're surrounded by people who think bigger, move faster, and dream bolder, you'll rise to match them. This is why billionaires invest so much time and energy into building networks. Because they know a single relationship can open doors that 10 years of hard work never could. Don't walk alone. Find people who make you smarter, faster, better. Don't fear failure. Use it as a teacher, not a judge. Don't protect your ideas. Grow them through collaboration. Because in the psychology of the 1%, wealth isn't built in isolation. It's built in rooms filled with bold thinkers, forged by lessons learned from every fall, and multiplied by people who push you far beyond what you could ever achieve alone. Here's a brutal truth most people never realize. The difference between the 99% and the 1% isn't money. It isn't luck. It isn't even hard work. It's identity. Most people spend their entire lives trying to become successful, but the top 1% start by being successful in their mind first. Before the results show up, before the money rolls in, before anyone believes in them, they already see themselves as the person they're trying to become. Think about it. If you see yourself as someone who's broke, you'll make broke decisions. If you see yourself as someone who's average, you'll accept average results. But if you see yourself as someone who builds empires, every decision, every risk, every move will align with that vision. This is why billionaires talk more about who they are than what they do. They don't say, "I'm trying to build a company." They say, "I'm a builder." They don't say, "I'm trying to be wealthy." They say, "I create wealth." It's not arrogance, it's identity. And identity shapes action. Here's the trap. Most people wait for external validation before they give themselves permission to think that way. They say, "Once I have the money, I'll think rich." But the 1% say, "I'll think rich, and that's why I'll have the money." It's inside-out living. And it's one of the most powerful psychological shifts you can make. Here's how they do it. They define their future self clearly. They know exactly who they're becoming and how they think, how they spend time, how they speak, what they say yes and no to. They make decisions from that identity now. Even if it feels uncomfortable, they ask, what would the billionaire version of me do? And they act accordingly. They remove what doesn't align. If a habit, a person, or a belief doesn't fit the identity they're building, they cut it off, ruthlessly. This is the final unlock, because when you change your identity, your actions change. When your actions change, your results change. And when your results change, the world changes around you. It's not magic, it's psychology. It's how ordinary people become extraordinary. It's how the 1% are made. So the real question isn't, how do I become successful? The real question is, who must I become to deserve success? Because once you answer that, once you become that person internally, the external world has no choice but to follow. Wealth is not just built in bank accounts, it's built in minds. If you change your thoughts, you change your identity. And once you change your identity, you're no longer chasing the 1%. You are the 1%. Here's the truth most people will never accept. The 1% are not lucky. They're not chosen. They're not different species. They're simply people who decided to think differently, act differently, and believe differently. Long before the world gave them permission. While others chased comfort, they chased growth. While others blamed circumstances, they built solutions. While others waited for the right time, they created the right time. And now it's your turn. This video wasn't made to entertain you. It was made to wake you up. Because if you're watching this, you already have the same raw potential as every billionaire you admire. The only question is, will you keep thinking like the 99%, or will you start living like the 1%? The choice is yours, and the moment is now. If you're ready to stop consuming and start transforming, then this is just the beginning. Subscribe to ZINRA, because every week we dive deep into the psychology, habits, and hidden frameworks the 1% use to dominate life and business. This isn't motivation. This is mental reprogramming, designed to turn ambition into action and action into results. So hit that subscribe button, turn on the notifications, and join a tribe of people who are no longer chasing success. We're building it.